Grimpy from Cleveland, Ohio, and you're listening to Barbecue Central.
Yay! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
All right, good evening and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling. This show originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I'm your program host, Greg Grimpy. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening's live fire fun and frivolity show. If you want to ask questions here this evening, if you want to know how to follow the show and get in contact, here's how you do it.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at bbqcentralshow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you get the newsletter. And I went a little light on guests on purpose, considering what I was battling with last week. Didn't know where we were going to be at this week. So in an effort to not have to cancel on a whole group of people, I left it 50% booked in hour number one and hour number two, and 50% open in hour number one, hour number two. On the open side, I have things that I can get to. But on the guest side, coming up in about 12 minutes from now, he will be a monthly guest as we are in 2023. The founder of cookoutnews.com, Wes Wright, will join us for the first time. Now, he's in the bonus week right now in January. However, in February, he will assume what will be his monthly spot, third Tuesday of the month, and that's looking like 35 past the hour in the first hour. Again, that will be Wes Wright. 35 past the hour, third Tuesday of every month going forward. As long as he wants to do it, as long as he's in business, all that fun stuff. And Wes is on location, so we'll figure out where the hell he's at. And then there are plenty of things to dig into as it relates to the business of barbecue, cookers, the new stuff that's being released. So Wes Wright, at least 14 past. We might stretch on over from there, depending on where we're at content-wise. After Wes, depending on how much time we have left, as I had mentioned just a few minutes ago, we will have an open segment. I have plenty of stuff to talk about, things to show you, stories to tell, regale you with nonsense, fun, and frivolity. I almost forgot my secondary tagline there. So, if you want to weigh in at any point during the open segment in the first hour, please join me through the social medias or through email, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Then we'll move to the second hour. Doubling up from last week, he did compete this past weekend, and that's why he's on. At the San Antonio Rodeo, the pitmaster of Rogue Cookers, Doug Scheiding, will join us to recap the weekend, how he did, where his big wins came, and where he might have left some points on the table. We'll recap all of that. Plus, we'll pull it out, and that sounded weird to say out loud. We'll pull back a little bit and then allow Doug to do his embedded correspondent take on the event, talk about some of the high-level things that he thought went well at the event, that didn't go well. I think San Antonio has really stepped up its popularity, really trying to become that close secondary or small little brother to the Houston Livestock and Rodeo. So we'll get Doug's take on San Antonio, how he did as a team, and then we'll talk about the event itself, and then whatever time we have left after Doug. Again, open segment, so more fun, more frivolity, more hijinks, shenanigans, and tomfoolery. You are invited to take part in that as well. through emails and social media if you want, or instant chats on Facebook and YouTube. By the way, if you're watching on Facebook and you see the title of the show, fear not, we are doing it live here this evening. It is January 31st and 5 after 9 p.m. Eastern. I didn't update the streaming portion of that to get the right title up, so it shows that Bob Trudnack's going to be on here shortly. This is not a repeat of last week. Trust me, you'd be able to tell. Not only am I wearing different clothes, I sound magically better, and I'll talk to you about that at some point here during the show. Don't forget you can follow me socially at BBQ Central Show on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Snapchat. We say good evening to those of you watching the show tonight through one of our video streaming platform partners. You can go to Facebook and Twitch/BBQ Central Show to watch. Also, you can take in the show via YouTube/RD Rempe. And of course, we do have a new poll this week. Many of you weighing in already. The question of the week is this: have you ever cured egg yolks? 86% of you currently saying no, you have not cured egg yolks, but 14% of you, if you couldn't do the math off the 86, 14% of you said you have cured egg yolks. And there is something going on with egg yolks this very moment in the last 48 hours that blew my mind. I happened to see it at the same time as Michigan Embedded Correspondent John Solberg, who we missed last week, who is, or at least appears to be, healing very well, especially if you were following him on social media through his Instagram, because he's still throwing up Instagram reels like it's going out of style. His voice sounds much better, so I believe we'll see him back here in February as he continues to churn out the videos. But we saw things at the same time. Did you realize, I didn't even know this was a thing, one of the most annoying things is separating yolk from egg. You have the little gimmick things you crack the egg into, you give it a shake, or you crack it in your hand, give it a shake. It appears, and I didn't know this, but it's worked. I saw it on video, and then, of course, question everything that you see on the internet through video, unless it's porn. Do it yourself. Put it to the test. Real-world factual experience. John cracked an egg in a bowl, reached in with his fingers, and just pulled the yolk out, stuck it in a separate container. Did you know that? You can do it. You can crack an egg in a bowl, and you can just pull the yolk out with your fingers. Just pinch it. Throw it in another container. You can start curing egg yolks by the young dozens if you should see fit, without a lot of strenuous BS activity, jiggling it around and all these other mechanical stuff. So who knew? But John has proven that that's a thing. It's up on his Instagram Reels right now. So if you don't believe me, check him out. Those are his hands taking an egg right out of the bowl and sticking it into what I can only assume will be a cured egg at some point. We saw somebody cure eggs in hot sauce, and then, of course, they let it sit in there for a couple days. It cures up. You take the egg yolk out, then you spread it over toast, and you have a hot sauce cured egg yolk. I like butter myself, but egg yolk's a little bit more magical and rich. So that's everything that's happening tonight. Be sure to take part in the chat room poll. Have you ever cured egg yolks before? 86% saying no currently. And Guy the Cooking Sam saying, Greg, you have to stay off TikTok. I would, but this was on Instagram, so I'm safe. It's much more believable and truthful on Instagram than on TikTok. Question everything on TikTok. It's Chinese. I've heard stories about what TikTok looks like if you are living in China, or if you're living here in the States. We're not going to get into that. It's not a political show. But I trust Instagram way more, of course. So let's start here this evening. And I was heartened, very happy to get a number of emails in support of the show last week. Now, it does appear that I have turned a number of you into podcast audio snobs, which I am not going to apologize for. However, it does make an easy target when my own bar of expectation is not met. If I'm being honest, I did listen to the shows from last week on podcast during my David Lean's exercise programs in the morning last week, and I thought they sounded very good, almost excellent, actually. And yes, there were some delays, Sometimes my voice and my video didn't match up because I was using a completely different camera than what was actually taking my voice and feeding it back into the computer. So there were going to be some time delays, which did happen. But that would have been resolved if I would have used the laptop camera instead of the show camera. So given how I connected into the show in order to do a show last week, I was happy that the workaround was by and large a success. I was happy with the audio quality and of the audio quality of my guests, of course. And yes, I'm happy for those of you who decided to give me some because I wasn't blowing across the internet in my usual fashion. We are all audio snobs together now. Congratulations to us. We should demand that the bar be raised on things we like to listen to. By the way, the microphone that Bob used last week is still currently on sale at sweetwater.com for $55. You get the microphone, the stand. It's a dual microphone, so you can connect USB or XLR. $55. It's the same microphone that Wes Wright is going to use in the next segment. Listen to how good he sounds. So if you've been thinking about it, you want to raise the level of your game, go to sweetwater.com. and search that Samson, the letter Q, the numeral 2, the letter U, and then buy it. $55. Give me a break. Before we get to Wes, since 1991, the National Barbecue and Grilling Association has been the voice of barbecue and grilling, helping members network and learn from proven professionals. New owner and leader, Cal Phelps, looks to take the history of the organization, move it into new heights in 2023 and beyond as they start with our NBBQA annual conference, which is currently still open for registration. There's about 3 days left. You can go to nbbqa.org right now, and it's there on the main page for you to check out further. If you're someone in the business of barbecue, you're looking to stay on top of trends, market your business better, learn from the folks who've done it right, and continue to evolve in a market that itself is ever-changing, then this is a conference you want to take a look at. Starts on Wednesday, February 15th, goes all the way through Saturday, February 18th. It's being held at the beautiful Wyndham Orlando Resort and Conference Center in the Celebration area of Orlando, if you're familiar with that. So make your reservations now and then take advantage of being around the most successful people in the industry during those 4 days. Walk right up to folks like Mo Cason or Bob Trudnak or Dr. Barbecue. You ever heard of Mark Lambert? How about Tuffy Stone? All will be there. The list goes on. Ask them questions you want to have answered. You'll be surprised at how approachable they are and how they want to help you succeed in the industry, because if we all succeed, we all succeed. Rising tide. Once again, it's February 15th through the 18th in Orlando. Go to nbbqa.org for all the information, lodging, pricing, and don't miss out. Again, only a couple days left to register. And if you aren't a member yet, consider joining there as well. Have access to videos and other info in case you aren't able to attend other events during the course of the year in person. All videoed, all right there. And again, the website, nbbqa.org. We are back with Wes Wright from cookoutnews.com right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. And this portion of the show being brought to you by cookandpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. Visit cookandpellets.com for more information or to purchase. You can also visit Amazon.com to purchase as well, but we recommend going to the main website first, COOKIN pellets.com, and see what they have available for you, smoke-wise, pellet-wise, all the good stuff. My first guest tonight will be here the third Tuesday of every month starting in February, which is tomorrow, to talk about the news and stories that are breaking in the live fire industry. The creator of cookoutnews.com, racing to the hotline and welcoming back Wes Wright. Hey, Wes, how are you, pal?
Good. How are you doing, Greg?
I am fabulous. Appreciate you joining me here this evening. And you're not in the typical confines that we would find you in. You are traveling, no less. So where are you at these days?
Yeah, I'm in Vegas right now for the National Hardware Show.
So this is a show I didn't even know about till maybe 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago when we were kind of going back and forth on shows that one would attend. And you told me you were going to be going to this one. And maybe I've heard about it peripherally, but I didn't really know it was a whole situation, but it has been for any number of years. What do you think about it so far? And by the way, you're not Derek Riches. I just haven't gotten around to changing your name.
Yeah, no, this will be my first time attending, but it got on my radar because it's where Camp Chef unveiled their Apex hybrid grill last year. So it seemed like an interesting show to go to. It's pretty wide in terms, it's for all hardware, so it's not just focused on, grills or outdoor cooking. But it seems like there's quite a few companies that are going to be there, and I'm, excited to go walk around tomorrow.
Are you doing the butter candle as 2023 has turned? You going to do that trend?
I don't, I like fondue. That's essentially what it is, right? Just a different way to do fondue. But I don't see myself doing that. No.
No. All right. How about this? The YouTube poll of the week is, have you ever cured an egg? 89% of people voting on YouTube currently saying no, which means 11% have. Do you cure eggs? Egg yolks, I should say.
No, never tried that either.
No. All right. Did you know you can crack an egg in a bowl, reach in with your fingers, and pull the yolk out, and it doesn't break?
I think I've tried that when I've made egg white omelets. So yeah, they're pretty durable.
I had no idea that they were so robust. But John Solberg, also from Michigan, did it on Instagram today because he saw it on Instagram, immediately thought it was horse crap, and decided to put it to the test and took a video of it. And you see him reaching right in there and pulling that egg yolk out. So I learned something new today that's going to be immediately implemented into my cooking repertoire. Immediately, probably starting tomorrow. So very happy to see that. Brio launches a heat deflector for their, what I call something like a solo stove fire pit. Good product or gimmick product?
Oh, I think the heat deflector makes sense. It's sound science, I guess. You're taking heat, pushing it back downwards, and it'll radiate out a little bit. So yeah, I have a similar product on my solo stove, and I've had good results. You just have to kind of get the fire roaring to really get the full effects of it. But, it makes sense and it does work.
I love my solo stove. I told John Maris when he was on last year that I was a huge fan. Way before it even got popular, I was on this thing, mostly because it was shiny and round and said smokeless fire pit. So I got it, and it pretty much worked as advertised, as I had talked about before. The only gripe I have is when you're actually sitting around it, the heat does not, if you don't have the deflector, the heat is obviously rising. But in a lot of other traditional fire pits, that doesn't really seem to matter. But on the solo stove, it does seem to matter. So you almost have to stand up to be more thoroughly warmed. I would assume that the heat deflector, this might have been a bitch from consumers, and they tried to figure out a way to cast the heat down to satisfy that a little bit more, because that's my biggest complaint.
Yeah, that's something Solo Stove's done a great job with too, is if you tell them what you want for the Solo Stove, they have a good track record of making an accessory for it. The heat deflector is a great example, as people said they wanted something like that, so they created it. And I think their last few accessories that they've come out with have all been based on customer feedback, which is great to see in a company.
Wes Wright joining us here on the show, cookoutnews.com, his website, posting early and often news and releases and product reviews. So if you're not visiting there a couple times a week, you certainly should be doing that. Also in the news over the last handful of weeks, a guy by the name of Denny Bruce becomes the new CEO over at a pizza oven company, let's call it. So if you're nerds like us, you've probably heard of either Gosney or Rockbox, or a combination of those two names. Gosney saw growth last year, And I'm wondering how you see Denny fitting into his new role as CEO at Gosney.
Yeah, so there's a couple things too to unpack with that. They said in a press release that they saw growth. I don't they didn't back up what that meant exactly. Like is that expanding to new markets? Is that,
No
I don't
layoffs?
know what that means. Yeah, because the press release also had year over year revenue growth, the one that they sent me, and it was through March of last year, which everybody saw growth through March of last year. So I don't know how the year ended up. Um I'm curious just if that the new CEO was a forced thing or voluntary. It could go either way, and I have no knowledge one way or the other. But there's at least a couple board members of Gosney that are from Traeger. I think they backed them early on and kind of helped Tom Gosney show the ropes. And there's two scenarios there that could have played out. One, he seems like a traditional product guy. He likes being in the business to make fun and exciting products, and maybe he didn't want the business end of it. And, that's why he transitioned. Or, another thing you see a lot is when there's a bunch of board members and your company's not performing the way they want, all of a sudden there's a new CEO who's a former board member. So I don't know which way it goes on that. You know, I think that Traeger makes products that are pretty refined, and people like them. So I think it could be a good match for them and Gosney to go together and see what they release.
Could Traeger buy Gosney at some point?
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. We'll see. I have no idea, obviously, but there definitely is a connection there. Even Gosney expanded to the U.S. last year, and their headquarters is in Park City, which is right by where Traeger is. And like I said, CEO, former Traeger guy. So it seems like there's a lot of overlap.
Keeping with the pizza talk here just for a second, the king of griddles, Blackstone, finally came out with their pizza oven. It was on again, it was off again, and it's finally out there. What do you know about it?
Yeah, I was surprised it got released, because what's funny is I wrote an article like right before they released it of products that weren't released in 2022 that were supposed to be, and on that list was the Blackstone pizza oven. Last year, during when everything was going great in the industry, they said they weren't putting out the pizza oven because they didn't have manufacturing capacity for it, because they couldn't sell or make grills to sell fast enough. So that was the story before. Then I think they got distracted by their IPO going bust towards the end of August, and they probably just had to build up supply and maybe had some cash concerns why they just released it. It's an interesting product though. I've never used one firsthand. I know the older version of it. There's a lot of complaints on forums. Take that as you will, about some quality issues, which I believe is why they pulled it off the market. At least that's the speculation. So the new one, it's nice that it has a rotating stone. $1,000 for it is a little steep, maybe, depending on if what you're going for, without like a full dome design. But it is a nice unit with that'll, I'm sure it probably performs well. So
Do you see it adding to the value of the overall company, going into the pizza oven space after being so successful in the griddle portion?
Personally, I don't. I think like people that are like Blackstone enthusiasts will buy it, but most people, they associate unis with pizza ovens if they just want something easy, and they're everywhere. You can buy them at, every hardware store out there, I believe, in, Williams and Sonoma and all sorts of other places. So that's been kind of synonymous, and just in general, people I talk to, they own an uni, even if they don't even grill or anything like that, So I think it'll be a hard market for them to break into, because it's almost like the opposite, where they're so dominant in griddles. So it'll be hard for other manufacturers to break in there. There's already existing players in the pizza oven space.
What other pizza ovens are you talking about with folks, aside from Uni? Obviously, that seems to be the Kleenex of the pizza oven market, has been for any number of years. But what other manufacturers or brands out there are you talking to folks with?
You know, back on Gosney, I've heard that their dome is doing pretty well. I know a large retailer I talked to said he was expecting those to sell quite a bit uh, this year. Um, I feel like there's so many pizza ovens out there. After you get through like Uni and Gosney, the Solo Stove Pie too. I know that they've sold a bunch of those. If you listen to their earnings calls, they were happy with those, and it even made Oprah's like favorite things list. So that
That
was
helps.
good for them for sales too. So, but there's a lot of great pizza ovens out there, and I think this summer it's going to be huge for pizza ovens in general.
I think back in the day, it wasn't like that at all. I think you had Uni, and that was about it. Or, well, you had Uni, and then you had the thing that you had to import from Italy. It was $10,000, the huge
Yeah.
dome. Like, everybody had to come over and assemble it properly at your house. You had to cure it, all this stuff. And then maybe over the last 7 or 8 years, you've seen available in the pizza oven market with what you've seen in the barbecue pit market for the last 20 years, where you have a range of entry level that are really good. You have mid level in the thousands that are really good, and then you can go all the way high end. So you can get a $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 Jambo pit or more. You can get a $10,000, $15,000 pizza oven. It's going to be cream of the crop, best of the best. But there is now a wide range for people to choose from and that fit their budget.
Yeah, there's so many pizza ovens to choose from, and also all the grill companies pretty much have pizza oven accessories. Weber has one. Big Green Egg came out with a wedge recently for their Big Green Egg to help make pizza ovens. Traeger announced one when they announced the Timberline last year that hasn't made it to market. I don't know why. Maybe that's a cash problem, but pretty much every grill company has a pizza oven accessory, or if you just type in pizza oven on Google or in Amazon, there's no shortage of choices.
Well, from a pizza oven insert market, Green Mountain Grill is the one that really started that by ripping the guts out and
Yeah.
slamming that thing on top of the fire pot, and away you go. I have one in my house. We use it all the time. It's absolutely fabulous. Plus, you can do high heat in it. You can do steaks. You can put some grill grates in that thing, and away you go. So multifaceted. Weber, let's transition. Weber suffered last year, obviously, in a number of fronts, but they're bringing an electric grill to market here in 2023. So this would make roughly 3 major manufacturers doing something electric. The Weber Lumen. Is this full-sized?
No, it's another portable grill, which
Hmm.
surprised me. I really thought it was going to be a full size grill. And
Do they think it's a
other-
full-size grill? Because I wrote on their Instagram page when they were promoting it, when's the full-size one coming out? And they said available on the website, and it was just the same one they were showing.
Yeah, they might be a little confused that you can buy there's like a plastic cart that it can sit on. I think it's like $150. So maybe they're calling that a full size. But I didn't understand it because they already have the Pulse, which is an electric grill that has a lot of the same capabilities. It doesn't look as nice, I'd say, and it doesn't have that unique grill grate design where you can, have a smoker box and you can steam and things like that, even though I don't see people using quite all of those. But I just didn't understand the kind of the fit within their lineup to release another portable electric grill.
Wes Wright joining us here on the show. Cookoutnews.com is the website. Weber's also bringing the Smoke Fire Sear Plus to market. Maybe I've added too many names on that thing, but it's a newer version of Smoke Fire. What's the difference, or what makes this new in this version?
Yeah, so I've kind of read up and down what it is, and maybe I'm missing something, and maybe one of your listeners knows better. But to me, it just looks like a new grill grate design. So, that they promise a better sear off of. That's all I could pick up from it. You could accomplish the same thing by just using some cast iron or some, a grill grate product. And so I don't really understand the innovation there.
What's the fascination with? Is the fascination or the concept from Weber trying to really deliver the both sides of the coin thing for pellet cookers? It can do low and slow, but it's also going to get just as hot as a Genesis or a Spirit grill. They want that in a cooker, but fired by pellets.
Yeah, well, those are the two biggest complaints that you see about pellet grills, and it seems like companies are trying to figure out both sides of it. One with the hybrids to fix not enough smoke complaint, and then either figuring out ways to make it hotter, or Pit Boss uses that flame broiler effect for searing. I mean, I cook on a pellet grill quite a bit. Love reverse searing. I never have trouble with it when you just throw some cast iron in there. Just it's like $30 off Amazon. Just get some Lodge, and it sears. So I kind of don't understand that complaint. If I'm
Just
being
Prowls
honest.
was on the show a couple weeks ago, and she said she's reaching her limit of trying to have these pellet cooker companies come out and saying they're delivering the all-in-one solution, when in reality, use the pellet cooker for low and slow to medium heat smoke roast, if you want to put a term on it, but then also have a grill, have a charcoal grill, have a gas grill, have a hybrid grill, have an electric grill, whatever you want, but have a multitude of different cookers. Maybe you don't live in a house where a wife or your lover or whatever is going to allow you to have more than one, so you're trying to cure everything with the best option available. But otherwise, if you're just a normal human, why not have a smoker and a grill? That's how my cousin told me to get into it in the first place, and it hasn't steered me wrong.
Yeah, I agree, and I think a lot of the grill companies are kind of thinking along those lines. You see them talk about, rather than when they're worried, especially over the summer, about there not being enough demand for grills, they started looking at what their market size was, and they were talking about, okay, well, people could have 2 grills or more, but which maybe in some instances, but also, it's not crazy to have a pellet grill and a griddle, or a pellet grill and a pizza oven. Or so I think it's definitely an option out there, and it makes a lot of sense, and especially if you just get a basic gas grill, it's not too cost prohibitive, so then you can accomplish everything you need without forcing it all into one device.
I don't want to get into a whole other line of topics here because we're going to be running out of time, but we'll push over a little bit. Just to tie a bow on the smoke fire, I mean, really, from the beginning, it seems to be the biggest haphazard product that Weber's ever launched. It never seems to get out of its own way. It always wants to be something that maybe it's not going to be. And for the amount of time they didn't get into the pellet cooker market, where they could have laid back, they see what everything, that's how they were selling it up front. We've laid back, we've seen where everybody's complaints were and what everybody was applauding, and now we're delivering this thing that's going to meet those needs. It will exceed what everybody liked, but it will also raise the shortcomings that everybody was talking about on pellet cookers. This thing just never seems to win for whatever reason. Do you follow the same mindset?
Yeah, I don't know anyone that has one or has used one, to be honest. I don't see them out at stores, and it just seems kind of like an also ran product. And I fear they're kind of doing the same thing with their griddle that they announced for next year too. It's like, okay, everyone loves griddles, so we'll make a griddle, but there's not really that much different about it. Just like, their pellet grill is, I'm sure it works fine, but it's just, when you don't necessarily think of that when you're like, okay, I want to buy a pellet grill. There's a lot of names that come in your head before you get down to the Weber, smart smoke fire. And I don't think they're going to resolve that issue.
All right, Wes, so I'm going to release you and let you run the streets of Las Vegas. You have shows or tickets to a show later this evening. It's only 7:30 out there right now, so I assume there's nonsense and tomfoolery that's going to be happening in Sin City.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out my sleep and eating schedule right now. I get no sleep ever because I have 2 little kids, and so I'm like up early, and now I'm like, okay, I got to eat dinner again. I think, I don't know. So I'm trying to navigate that, and hopefully I can stay up late enough where it makes sense.
All right, so Wes will be ongoing third Tuesday, 35 past the first hour. We will recap what the hardware show was like. Plus, I have a whole rest of the agenda that I wanted to get to as well, but lots of good stuff. Wes, always appreciate the time, and we will look for you in February.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You got it. It's Wes Wright, cookoutnews.com. in the center of Sin City. So if you are looking to get interviewed, if you have some news to break, Wes is the guy you want to touch base with, cookoutnews.com. And if you haven't visited his website yet, I know I say it each and every time, but maybe you guys aren't listening to me, and gals. Visit cookoutnews.com 3 times a week. Put it in your calendar, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. See what he's releasing. It's shocking a lot of the time. It's surprising some of the other points in time. It's educational those other points in time. So well worth a visit. And looking forward to doing monthly segments with Wes Wright, who has his finger on the pulse. All right, we are open next segment. So if you want to jump in with an email, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com, and I will read you on air. Pits and Spits has the best looking, best cooking smokers and grills. Pits and Spits offers a full family of products, including traditional offset smokers, wood pellet grills, charcoal grills, travel grills, combination pits, fire pits, and much more. They've been the only American fabrication shop that's focused on smokers and grills for almost 40 years. 40. Why is that important? They're able to put an emphasis on quality and design, locally sourced materials, and unmatched attention to detail. From fully welded barrels to the heavy gauge steel, they bring both function and beauty to life. Pits and Spits builds every product with the intention that it's going to get passed down for generations to come. Whether you're a competition barbecuer or you just want to take barbecue and grilling in the backyard to the next level, there's a product for you. Check them out at pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central. That's Pits, P-I-T-T-S, and A-N-D, Spits, S-P-I-T-T-S, pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central. And use promo code BBQ Central after you accumulate $500 or more in checkout. You'll get a free spice pack sent along just for doing that. Once again, it's promo code BBQ Central when you accumulate $500 or more in your cart by visiting pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central. We are back right after this. Stick around.
Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
We thank Wes Wright from cookoutnews.com for joining us last segment. This portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard. Fireboard 2, Fireboard 2 Drive, Fireboard Pro, Fireboard Spark. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring, or connect via the red, white, and blue hoo-hoo tooths. If you have Alexa or the Google Assistant in your home, you're in luck because Fireboard is fully integrated with both. I actually use it when I use the Fireboard, and it works. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com. Call 816-945-2232 with any questions. Ask for Ted Conrad. Maybe he'll jump on the phone with you and talk about whatever it is you are looking to talk about. So there are some emails and show feedback emails that I didn't get to in the show open that we'll start with here. So once again, if you want to jump in, I have no way for you to actually talk to me because Clubhouse is out.
Get that big stuff out of here.
That software program Club Deck that I was using, at least on my computer, I know some of you have it, at least on my computer, started crashing, and it was making my other monitors do weird things. It felt all sorts of glitchy and hacky and gross. So I uninstalled that bitch, and that's it. I have no way of getting the audio onto YouTube or taking calls or anything like that, interacting that way. Thought about maybe going back to Skype, but Skype isn't just widely accessible for everybody to get on. You have to get an account and this and that and the other thing. I guess you have to get a Clubhouse account too, but Skype just seems so outdated and non-user friendly anymore. When back in the old days, Skype was everything. It was the best thing ever. It was the only way I had guests on. It was the only way I called guests. And then Microsoft got it, and they really fucked it all up. Shame on them. Anyway, Dennis in Colorado writing in, Greg, awesome recovery and hell of a job bringing us the #1 barbecue and grilling show last week. You might want to get another pet in order to help with those cats, like a dog that might eat them. I can't, Dennis. Great idea. You know I can't. There's women in this house that like the cats. This man didn't all of a sudden wake up one day and go, you know what I need in my life? I need cats. I didn't do that. Women did that. And I live with women, and I live with cats. Janet in Oregon is writing in. Greg, I love the Embedded Correspondent segment each month and was sorry to see John not there last Tuesday night. I hope he's doing well and will be healthy enough for a reappearance in February. However, you, Doug, and Rusty did a great job as always. I love Rusty's always positive attitude and Doug's maniacal laugh. But John is definitely my favorite. Love the show. Regards, Janet. Janet, thank you. Well, looky here. We have a celebrity in the YouTube chats. It's Brad Robinson from Chud's Barbecue. Unless that's one of his fabricators or coworkers that's running his YouTube chat. But I'm going to guess it's Brad. So happy to have him in for as long as he is coming in here this evening, listening to our nonsense. King in New Jersey is writing in. Greg, I have been a big Bob Trudnak fan from way back. It's great to see him spreading his wings and doing his own thing versus being confined to the wantings of the barbecue guru. I hope to take a class from him and Big Mo Kason this year. I'm still on the fence about NBBQA next month, but it's a definite maybe. Love the show. Podcast listener only. Regards, King. King, appreciate you writing in. Glad you like Bob Trudnak. I have been a longtime fan of Bob Trudnak, even in the confines or the wantings of the barbecue guru before that sale happened. And now I think Pit Boss owns Barbecue Guru at this point. They were you know my love affair with Bob Trudnak and the Barbecue Guru. They don't talk to me now because they're owned by somebody else. I've tried to salvage that relationship, but at this point it's unsalvageable. But all the way back to when the show started in 2006 as a podcast only, the first advertiser on the show was the Barbecue Guru. Then they were first to jump on the live show. So I have a long-standing love affair with Bob. Shotgun Fred originally, then Bob, and obviously all the folks at the Barbecue Guru. So I hope you do take a class from Bob. I would love to get your feedback from a class that you take, King, if indeed that is your real name. But I appreciate you listening and writing in. So as you have noticed, let me get you up to speed here. While we attempted to do a show we did a show. We didn't even attempt to do it, but we did it. It wasn't the way I would normally do it. And if you're just tuning in for the first time ever and you're wondering why I did it one way last week and another way this week, it's because at some point before the show last week, one of these great cats that I was just opining for took a leak on my mixer. My audio mixer, not my KitchenAid stand mixer, like my audio mixer. Pissed all over it. Shorted out the XLR inputs, or at least the main ones, which would be channel 1, this mic. So it shorted out all the mechanical inputs. However, evidently the cat pee didn't seep all the way in to the mixer itself because it was still showing up as an audio card. So what did I do? Didn't want to cancel the show, got the work laptop out, connected in as a guest, used this microphone through an interface, used the regular show camera, which also then caused the lag in lips to sound at points during the show, which some of you mentioned. And here we go. The mixer, so then we had the show, and there you go. Well, I'm trying to find a Behringer XR18 digital mixer. I go, of course, to sweetwater.com. It looks like they have them. I'm getting ready to hit the buy button. It says, well, out of stock, have more coming soon. So I called my sound engineer, Tommy Heil, and I said, Tommy, when is the XR coming in? June.
Get that free stuff out of here.
It's the middle of January. June is not going to cut it. So what am I going to do? I'm certainly not going to do 6 months of shows the way I did the show last week. That's good in a pinch every so often. And by every so often, I mean like once every 5 years. We're not setting up the show like that for months in a row until the containers come in with XR18s. Well, I jumped on a place, man, you know, the more I think about it, I get kicked off a lot of places. I hate YouTube. They hate me. It's a long-running hatred between us. It runs evenly down the road. They hate me as much as I hate them. eBay also hates me. They kicked me off for no reason. By the way, I'm not some psychopath that says, it's never me, it's never me. I didn't do anything to eBay. But they kicked me off. So now I have to go on as a new user. I'm right on eBay, making a new account, and I immediately search Behringer XR18 digital mixer. 2 come up, 2. So I'm like, wow. One of them is coming from Japan. That's not an option. Plus, it's $1,300, almost double what the retail cost is. I'm not buying watches on the secondhand market here. I'm buying a digital mixer, right? So I'm not going to buy that one. Then there was this other one, $640, listed by this guy, Josh, on eBay. And so he had a make an offer button. So I hit the contact seller button, dropped him a note, said, hey, I'm really interested in this mixer, and it says make an offer. What will you take? Let's just forego all the nonsense. What are you going to take for the mixer? Maybe we can put a deal together right now. I'll do the make offer. You accept the offer. I'll offer what you tell me, this, that, and the other thing. And he said, hey, appreciate your frankness. And my dad told me don't take anything less than X. I'm selling it. It was his. He just passed away. And, you know, that's why it's up on eBay. So I email him back and give him a little bit of my story. We build a little bit of a friendship. And then all of a sudden the deal is done. I said, hey, would you mind taking it to whatever UPS store you have on your Saturday and overnighting it to me? I'll pay the extra money to overnight it so I have it here. Hopefully it shows up Monday, but even if it shows up Tuesday, today, which it did at 9:30 in the morning, I'll have enough time to try and plug it in. The odds are, because of how this is set up and what I have plugged into it, what I need to download onto it to make it potentially operational, it will only take 10, 15 minutes for me to know if we got a show tonight or not. So, deal's done. 24 business hours later, a lightly used, newer than what I had, XR18 shows up this morning, and we are doing it live.
We'll do it live.
That's right.
Do it live. I'll write it, and we'll do it live.
Now we're doing the show in the normal way. And when I say normal way, I mean the highest audio currently available anywhere online. So, Josh from Connecticut, I'm so happy to have made your acquaintance Friday night. And I don't think your dad's mixer could have found a better and more appreciative home than this one here at the Barbecue Central Studios in Bomb City, USA, because I understand the beast that this thing is, and I also know the pain of trying to get a new one, which is completely impossible. You have Sweetwater telling you that June or later are when the new ones come in, so finding this one the way I did, a treat, to say the least. So we dedicate this segment to Josh, who just happened at this particular time in life listed his dad's XR18 digital mixer from Behringer that I needed and was not going to be able to find. This time last week, as I'm muddling through the show, I'm trying to figure out how the hell am I going to do a show for the next 5 months at best. At best, it couldn't have gone on like that. It just couldn't have. So everybody knows I'm no religious guy. I don't think there was divine intervention. I think our timings met up here where Josh listed something. His dad had it. His dad's passed away. Finds a good home to me, a sound guy who's appreciative of something like this. We'll put it to good use for years to come. Now I just got to figure out a way to protect this damn thing from cat piss. Thank you, Josh. And by the way, that's segueing me into this question. Is there anybody out there? And I am saying this with peace and love. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Is there anybody out there that can help me with my cat pissing issues? Killing is not an option. We've stated this already. It's not a viable option in my current situation. But I have an idea of which cat is doing this, but I can't prove it. And if I can't prove it, the only option in my brain is to kill all of the cats to make sure that 100% of the issue is eliminated. But again, that's not an option. And I can't specifically say that it's the orange cat or the 2 tuxedo cats or whatever the other one is. 4 cats. I have a 25% chance of being wrong or right. Those aren't great odds where I'm coming from. So if anybody's a cat expert, if anybody has any idea, look, nothing's changed in my house ever since I've moved here in the last 2.5 years. It's not like we've introduced other animals or I don't even know. But if somebody, you know what? Alan F. says in the instant chat, set up a trail cam. You know what? I've thought about that. I'm not going to lie. I thought about setting it up right where they've been recently relieving themselves and trying to figure out which one. But even then, so then I know which one's doing it, but then what am I going to do? I still can't do what I want to do. So the better solution here is if somebody's a cat expert that really knows how cats operate, because I don't, and I don't care to. How do I get them to stop pissing around this side of the house or anywhere in the house? I want them pissing in my house. Tom Dickey, put a door on the studio. No one's allowed in there. My wife said we should build a wall. I don't want to invest in that. I know. You pay $700 for a new mixer. You don't want to put a wall up in there? I don't want to have to do that. I don't want cats that pee in my I don't want cats that pee in my house. That's what I want. Smoking Joe's Pit Barbecue has a great idea. In fact, it's so great, I will put this for the rest of you to see. Beat up a fake cat in front of the suspect, yank its head off, and I guarantee that they will never pee on anything again. Joe, that is how you get in the nominations for Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame. Right there. Because you are a guest. You're a recurring guest this year, quarterly. But saying things like that puts you on the short list of getting nominated, Joe. Very good. There's a story I could tell you about my kids as they were growing up that roughly teeters on something very similar to what Smokey Joe's Pit Barbecue is suggesting. I'm not going to talk about that here. But if you ever meet me in person at some point, we might talk about that. Primo Grills. Let's see. You know what? I'll do that here as we come out of break. Anyway, plenty of other stuff to get to. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Welcome back. This portion of the show is brought to you by me and Primo Grills. What do we love about ceramic cookers? We love that they're fuel efficient. We love that you can achieve low and slow temperatures for traditional barbecue meats. We also love that you can get rip-roaring hot and grilling of steaks and other thin cuts. But what's missing in the everyday lineup of ceramic cookers, the ability to do true two-zone cooking. It's important to both professional and backyarders cook alike. Why? Because it's the best way to manage a fire. However, getting a two-zone fire in a round ceramic cooker, not very realistic. Why? Because it's round. Enter Primo Grills and their game-changing oval design. The shape gives you the ability to execute a two-zone setup that you desire. It also gives you the ability to execute 60 different ways to cook on. So you're only limited by your culinary imagination. They have a bunch of accessories as well, like the Primo Grill rotisserie and the Primo Grill pizza accessory, the half pan, the full pan, the rib rack, all that good stuff. Only sold through dealers. So find one near you at primogrill.com. That's primogrill.com. Here's the bottom line. Best ceramics in the biz? Yes. Patented technology? Yes. True two-zone cooking capabilities? I mentioned it in the open. Do they have multiple sizes of ovals? You know it. Go to a dealer near you, find one, primogrill.com, visit that dealer, see the different sizes of ovals, fall in love with one, take it home. Have it forever. primogrill.com. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Alan F. also weighing in. They have spray scents cats don't like. Alan, great idea. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be spraying something on the $700 mixer. I should build like a... See, even the ideas I'm coming up with off the top of my head right now, these cats, they're cats. If I put up like a fake windbreak, it'll push it over, it'll jump over it, it'll figure out a way to worm its scurvy little paw in between, get where it wants to be. Man, I'm telling you, something has to be done about these cats, not the least of which is finding out which cat is currently the issue. That's number one. And then number two is going to be going forward. How do we keep them away without building a wall in the studio? Alan, am I going to not appreciate the set too? Is it also going to keep me out of my studio? I'm willing to make that sacrifice, but in the end, I would rather not be offended as well. All right. Here we go. Bill Rempe, my dad. Rent small space. Move the stuff. Send me the bill. I'm not moving.
Get that big stuff out of here.
No way. They make covers to put over mixers. Had one to put over big mixers in a band when playing bars. Even with all the mics and everything put into it, Ron? That might be the best option yet. Right now I have a blanket that I'm going to drape over it so the cat can pee on the blanket. Yeah, Jeff, send me a trail cam and send me a Byron at the same time. Send me a Byron for your place. Ron saying that you can put the cover on while you have everything inserted. Well, that might be it. I'll have to look and see about that. Is there a specific brand that you recommend? Ron, email me, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. We can take this off air. All right, we are going to step away out of the cat nonsense. We'll regroup. We'll talk some live fire here in the second hour. But we will be going open segment as we close the show, so you never know. We might circle back around to cat stuff yet. If you haven't had enough cat stuff, I could also read a few passages from this. I could pee on this. Guy the Cooking Sam remembers that one. He makes reference to such a book every now and again. But I have it. We have plenty of passages that we could get to if we want. But again, Ron, email me, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. I assume there's a third-party company that makes this stuff. Guy the Cooking Sam, kill all the cats. They'll lock us up and throw away the key. Golfers, you idiot. Right.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Let's refresh libations and point to the second hour. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Happy to have you aboard here for the Really Big Barbecue Show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude.
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 54 wieners.
But listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. Welcome aboard. This is the Barbecue Central Show. We talk about all the live fire barbecue and grilling related items that you could possibly want to talk about right here on this show. We are effectively live, and we are back and better than ever with a brand new Behringer XR18 mixer. For anybody that's thought, how can I help the Barbecue Central Show? I'll stroke Greg a check for $5,000, $6,000, $10,000. I want to support the show. Here's how you can do it. A bunch of you guys get together, accumulate your funds, go to sweetwater.com, send them a message to Tommy Heil and say, as a collective, we want to buy Greg a mixer on standby, whether that comes in June or July. You want to help me?
Jimmy Burns from Malvern, Ohio. And
right,
you're
Jimmy?
listening to Barbecue Central.
Sorry, Jimmy. Anyway, that would be thanks enough. A bunch of you guys getting together and ganging up to buy a additional mixer, because as much as I want to hold out hope, maybe we'll build a wall. Probably we won't. There's a really good chance coming down the line that this thing is going to get pissed on again and it's going to break. You know it. If I know it, you know it. I don't want it to happen. I don't want there to be cat piss on my floor anymore. I'm at a crossroads in my cat life, and I don't know where to go from here. Alan, I might try the spray, but I feel like a hostage. I feel like if I spray the spray that the cats don't like, they're going to get pissed off and they're going to pee in other areas. And then what? Smoking Joe's Pit Barbecue put a mouse trap on your mixer. I don't think that's going to work. Only if they step on it first. Then that'll teach them. But then, again, I go back to being a hostage. I don't want to piss them off. Go, hey, that a-hole put a mouse trap on the mixer. It was on my paw. Now I'm going to go ahead and pee all over the mixer doubly. I'm a trapped man by these cats. I don't want to make them mad. I just want to keep them at bay. Trail cameras first. I think that way we can try and figure it out. Of course, now that I've gone on and on ad nauseum about this, that cat is never, whichever one it is never going to piss in this house again. And you know that that's the truth. By the way, the show originating from
Palm City, USA, Cleveland.
Still to come on the show this evening, Doug Scheiding of Rogue Cookers. We'll be talking about his time this past weekend at the San Antonio BBQ Cook-Off. We also say good evening to those of you watching this show tonight through one of our streaming platforms. You can go to Facebook and Twitch/BBQ Central Show to watch. You can also watch this show via YouTube/RD Rempe. Little update on the weekly YouTube poll that we have come to like. The question currently is, have you ever cured egg yolks before? And 77% of you are saying no.
Get that big stuff out of here.
There was a time about 10 or 15 minutes ago, maybe it was a little longer than that, we were almost at 50-50. And now no is really running away with it. 77% saying no, only 23% saying that they have. Now that I know you can reach in and grab egg yolks right out of cracked eggs in bowls, I might get into more of the curing, soft curing. I don't know if I want like hard curing, but I'm interested enough to try it out. Maybe in some of that hot sauce stuff, maybe in the salt like Jess Pryles had talked about last year. I mean, why not? good enough for me. You can put it on my steak or my chicken, add a little flavor. It's got egg whites are probably more protein, and the yolk is probably fat, but that's all right. So I can use a little bit of fat here as we work through 29th week of David Leans, which we'll talk about here in just a second. So, again, 77% of you saying no, you have never cured egg yolks before. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less this Friday, episode 268, taking you back to February of 2018. And in this episode, a longtime friend of the show and a pellet cooker pioneer, Ed Fast Eddie Morin. Featured on this week's show, we discussed a bit of his passion for, believe it or not, Baja racing. I'm not a car race guy specifically. I dabbled in NASCAR when I was also in the airline industry before I thought blowing my head off was a better idea than quitting that job. But Baja racing is a thing, and Fast Eddie was real big, probably still is real big into, but he was actually in the car and racing. He had won 3 races in a row at some point in 2018, probably 2017, bridging into 2018. So he's a driver and quite an expert. So he's into that. We talk about it. Also, we talk about where the pellet cooker market was sitting back in 2018 and where it was poised to go. And I don't think Eddie missed the mark on that at all. Also, we talk about the best features of cooking with pellet grills, regardless of manufacturer. Eddie's an all-timer. He was a successful competition guy when he was doing it. He was a major success in the building of pellet cookers. If you've ever heard of the FE or the FEC line of cookers made by Cook Shack, that's Eddie's cooker. For years, he was paying a royalty to the original Traeger for their auger system because that's what made Traeger a powerhouse initially was they had the patent on that auger system. Joe Traeger realized he should be patenting that and then cornered the market for 10 years. Certainly nothing as big as it is now, but Eddie was paying him a royalty to use the Traeger auger in his FE cookers. So major success there in the pit building and just a great ambassador for both the pellet cooker portion of the industry and barbecue in general. So you can see Eddie selling a new brand of pellets, I believe. The website is off of memory, grillingpellets.com, if I'm not mistaken. Check me out. Double check me if I'm wrong. If I am wrong, shoot it up in the chat room so I can make sure that I give it out if you're looking for a new brand of pellets. I, of course, recommend cookingpellets.com, but if you're looking to have a number of varieties, I believe it's grillingpellets.com is Eddie's site. So the bottom line is this. Friday show is going to be great. If you've never been introduced to Eddie before, a good way to do that. And I have to get Eddie on the show in 2023 because it's been too long. So I'll look to do that as well. By the way, if you want to hear a past guest or segment again that might be lost in the archives, email John and let him know what you would like to hear, JON at thebbqcentralshow.com, and he will do his best to meet your expectation. One of my favorite things over the past number of weeks has been what? ChatGPT and talking about it, trying to integrate it into the live fire industry. I'm not going to not do it. I'm going to impress upon all of you the importance of getting to know it and use it and work with it so you are not behind the curve. It doesn't have to be specifically related to the live fire industry, but that's what we're covering, so I'm trying to figure out where it fits in. ChatGPT specialist, the official ChatGPT specialist of the Barbecue Central Show, Carlos Martinez, who sent me some things last week, sent me more things to analyze when it comes to this technology as of today. Now, you might recall last week, Carlos sent me a note that ChatGPT was listing me as the creator of AmazingRibs.com. Not true, by the way. It also said that I've been in the live fire industry for the last 30 years. Also not true. It also said that I was regularly consulted for opinions, interviews, and thoughts on the industry. True. Well, we now have more things to look at and consider as it relates to ChatGPT and live fire. So, Carlos inputs when asking ChatGPT, quote, what's the best BBQ podcast? He got this in reply. Barbecue Central Show, hosted by Mark Lambert. Mark Lambert, which focuses on all things barbecue, including cooking tips, product reviews, and interviews with industry experts. I don't even know where Mark Lambert as an option for the host of the Barbecue Central show even happens. There are 20 other names that I could think of that could be more correctly wrong. Is that a double negative? They could be more correct, correctly wrong than Mark Lambert. Mark's been on the show a couple times. He's a wildly successful business person within the industry and obviously a competitive cook, world champion. But not host. Also, Barbecue Beat, hosted by Meathead Goldwyn. No. Which covers a wide range of topics related to barbecue, including recipes, techniques, and interview with pit masters and other barbecue experts. So ChatGPT, a little redundant on what these shows are covering, roughly the same. It is correctly listing the Barbecue Central show's number one. However, my name is not anywhere mentioned as host of the Barbecue Central show. It's Mark Lambert. Oh, and Meathead is host of Barbecue Beat. By the way, rest in peace, Barbecue Beat. If you didn't know, we say it with peace and love. Kevin not doing any more new episodes, at least for now. Maybe that'll change in the future. We'll see about that. Our pal Doug Scheiding is in the green room, ready to rock and roll. In the meantime, I'm going to tell you about the last 28 weeks of the David Leans program. You could only see the rippling muscles underneath this pullover that I have to wear because outside it's 19 degrees here. Yes, sir. I have a little heater off to the side of me, which you probably heard running last week because I had no processing. You know, I was sans new mixer. Well, 28 weeks ago, I was not fat, but I was out of shape. I was a little doughy. You ride in the car, making sales calls. The gut would shake. It really hasn't been a thing for me. But look, I'm getting older. Wasn't really watching what I was eating. Certainly wasn't working out at all. I was what my wife calls an unhealthy, skinny person. And I wanted to change it. So I said, hey, David Leans is a sponsor of the show, David McDowell. Why not put him to the task? Let's sign up. Let's have him put a program together. Let's see if he can turn me into something I'm looking for. But we're going to do it at my pace. We're going to do it with the equipment that I have. I'm not looking to go out and buy hundreds, if not thousands of dollars of stuff. Let's see if what he's talking about in the ad is for real. 28 weeks later, 100%. Has he made programs for me workout-wise with only the stuff I have? Yes. Have we varied those workouts through the weeks to make sure that muscle fatigue is happening and proper development is taking place? Absolutely. Has he asked me if I want to make changes to the diet? Yes. Do I? No. I don't want to change the diet. I know what I have. I live like this when I'm eating. I don't want choice. You need to sign up too. davidleans.com/BBQ. That's davidleans.com/BBQ. Sign up, tell them I sent you, and then join. Join me and not be fat. I'm not shaming. Doug's next. Stick around.
Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
This portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet, currently available in 3 sizes with a host of accessories. Whether you are a beginner or a professional, doesn't matter. It's a cooker you want to add to the arsenal regardless. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them the Barbecue Central show sent you, Amber and Noah out there at Pit Barrel Cooker. My guest in the second hour is someone you hear pitch in on this show the 4th Tuesday of every month, which was just last week. in the second hour during the Embedded Correspondent segment. He's the longest-running Embedded Correspondent from Texas, and he's also a very accomplished competition cook, a contractor for Traeger grills. On top of that, he's a social media maven, especially when it comes to Instagram. He's also a Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer. This past weekend was the ever-popular and growing San Antonio BBQ Cook-Off, and Row Cookers was there to give it a shot to pull down GC. We raced to the hotline and welcome back our friend, whose name is going to show up incorrectly, but I'll fix that, Doug Scheiding. All right, Dougie, so this past weekend was the San Antonio Cook-Off, and for the folks, to give people a little background on you and I, you were first on the show talking about a world championship at Houston Livestock and Rodeo. And for the folks that are just kind of getting into competition barbecue, that are learning about the majors, this, that, and the other thing, a lot of people think KCBS. Some people think Florida Barbecue Association, although they've dropped a little bit more in popularity, or at least in visibility. But the one that always circles up every year, Memphis in May, of course, but then Houston Livestock and Rodeo, and its own little monster and its own ecosystem. Not a lot of cash to win there necessarily, but big belt buckles and bragging rights and all that fun stuff. So that's how we met. And then we have this upstart little San Antonio barbecue cook-off that has continued to grow in popularity. Some folks that have been on this show a number of times have won it as well, and you decided to take your hand this past weekend and give it a shot. So when did you load in, and where did you start? Because I know it was a number of days of cooking.
Yeah, I actually, this was my 14th year to cook it.
Wow.
So I've that's back kind of when I started, and let's see, I loaded in on Wednesday. They started loading at 9 a.m. Wednesday. I was there at 9:45, and of course there were already two trailers next to me that I couldn't park my trailer in the right place, so in the back. But no worries. We've got 40 by 40 spaces, and I've just got a trailer that I've built out as my kitchen, and roll up my Traegers, and I pack it. It's like it's very packed with all the tents and chairs, and took my solo stove. You said it's 19 there, it's 30 here, so it's pretty cold for us here. And with the threat of ice, the sky is falling and sort of thing. So a lot of people didn't go into work today, but anyway, so it's 9 a.m. load in. I just dropped my trailer. I kind of like to do that, and then I came back Thursday around noon, and then that's when I started setting up everything, and visiting with people. It takes me about 2 hours to set up. So Uncle Scotty, the local Traeger rep, came out and helped me do that. And then Thursday night, we kind of prepped a few things. The dessert turn-in was at noon on Friday, so we actually cooked on Thursday night. We cooked 2 desserts, and then also I did a practice brisket just for fun for the infamous buzzards that come out and eat our food.
The buzzards.
Send the hate email to Greg Rimpey at
Doug at rowcookers.com. Give him all the hate email. That's right.
Thank you very much.
That's right.
Yeah. So I say that with peace and love, but
always.
But anyway,
Peace and love. Peace and love.
That was exactly. Thank you, Ringo. So we did that on Thursday night and got out there Friday, kind of about 9 o'clock or so. The first turn in on Friday is the ancillary day. So they have 5 different ancillaries that you had. So we had,
do you do all 5 ancillaries?
Man, I am the guy that has never met a category that I won't try.
God.
I will do all of it. It's not as bad as the Royal. Remember, the Royal is worse. It has, when you get the invitational, with the 3 turn-ins, and then you get all of those sides and sausage and everything. I think it's like 11 turn-ins at the Royal, but we just had 8 this weekend. But 5 in one day is still a lot. But the Bloody Mary. I prepared that and turned that in at 11, and I'm not a huge Bloody Mary guy, but the Bloody Mary that I did make, I actually really liked.
What's the recipe? Tito's vodka.
Let's
right.
Well, yeah, of course, Tito's vodka. Tito's was right. I was cooking right across from Tito's, so it would have been very, very bad. And they're a semi. I have a good relationship with them, so I exchanged some head country for a little bit of Tito's this weekend. But Tito's. Then I smoked Tito's. I smoked the mixers. So Zing Zang. If you've heard of Zing Zang,
Sure.
that's very popular.
Very popular.
So I smoked that, and I smoked the Traeger Bloody Mary mix. So I smoked them for several hours, and so did 3 cups of those of the combination of those, and then I added, of course, celery salt, some head country marinade, pickle juice and olive juice, some black pepper. I didn't add any Tabasco or horseradish because the actual Traeger Bloody Mary mix is actually kind of spicy, has a back end heat to it. So I backed off on any of that, and a little bit of garlic powder. So I think those are the main ingredients that I use. So
and you're mixing Zing Zang and the Traeger Bloody Mary mix together?
Yeah, actually at the Houston rodeo, they have an unofficial Bloody Mary mix and stuff. That's what we did last year, and we got 3rd overall there. So it's a pretty decent recipe that we use and stuff. This year I added a little bit of olive juice to it just to kind of balance out the flavor, and it was pretty good. So that was at 11, and then 12 was dessert.
Wait. Let's not blow over Bloody Mary contests ever on this show. We need to dissect ad nauseum Bloody Mary contests. Of course, I don't give a shit about anything else. Of course, I want to know about the Bloody Mary contest. So for anybody that knows where I'm about to go here, put on the hate blockers.
I know where you're going.
If you don't like it. Was this a nonsensical ancillary where people were hanging, as I say, 100 pounds of food off of a pint glass, where Jess Pryl said it's an engineering project more than a drink contest? Or were you just, like, what did you put on yours? Was it simple garnish and the drink carries the day?
We're in Texas, and just like we don't garnish the damn box, we don't garnish the damn Bloody Mary.
You're kidding.
So there was nothing. No, I'm not kidding.
Thank God.
You could not. Exactly. Down here, that's how they all are. You can't have olives. You couldn't have olives in there. You couldn't even have ice in there. So,
really?
Or else you'd be disqualified. Yes. So it's a totally ungarnished Bloody Mary in a cup. Not a big, in the Houston rodeo, we had to submit 32 ounces. It was just a big, it was incredible. So anyway, we hardly had anything left for us to cook. We didn't know it was that big, but it's just like the little, same as a bean turn-in cup. And you just have to fill it to that mark, and that's it. And no garnish, nothing. Yeah, if I had to garnish it, I might have to bow out because I'm just not. Just on principle, I just don't like those garnish things. So,
all right.
When sometimes they have margaritas and same thing, no garnish.
How did we do?
We placed, we get 12th in Bloody Mary.
Out of how many?
I don't know how many. There were 288 teams total.
Holy moly.
At the contest.
Yeah.
But,
I'm sure half did
but
it.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure half did it. So, so we got 12th overall. So that was pretty good for us. So
even 12th out of 100 is really good. I mean, that's, top 12.
Yeah, that was a major win, especially since I don't drink Bloody Marys. But this one I would definitely make again. In fact, I probably will. So I might improve on that. Who knows? I may have to work on that. But I practiced on it for a couple of weekends and prior to the contest and stuff. So, but yeah, great Bloody Mary contest. So I'm in.
All right. So what other ancillaries are you taking part of?
Well, my wife, so dessert was at 12. So we had 2 desserts that we had cooked on Thursday night, and they were chilled cheesecakes. And she didn't do her normal, she's known for, at the Houston rodeo, she's gotten 5 top 20, 25 finishes in dessert out of, either their 200 and some teams, 225 or whatever they have. And in with her bourbon, glazed bourbon,
bread pudding.
Pecan, no, not. Bread pudding. Sorry, bread pudding. I was thinking the pecan pie, but she did the pecan pie cheesecake at San Antonio. So she worked on that for a couple times and had her work and my some of my peeps taste it and do some things, and so it was really good. She toasted the pecans, and then she had a fudge brownie that's actually what we worked on a lot, is a fudge brownie crust. And one of them actually was like a supreme fudge brownie, and that actually crystallized, so we didn't turn that one because the crust was too hard. And then the other one we just kind of cut off a little bit on the bottom and then turn that in. And so it was damn good. Everybody that had pieces of it really loved it. And so and she had gotten sixth. When we were practicing, we always think bread pudding, and when we were practicing, she goes, "Hey, what did I cook 2 years ago when I got sixth place?" And I said, "That's a good question." So I pulled up, of course, I have my journal, and I pulled it up, and I said, "You cooked a pecan pie cheesecake."
Oh.
And she goes, "Oh yeah." She goes, "I wonder where that recipe is."
You don't have it on a tab on your computer somewhere?
No, I just
really?
had it. Well, not the dessert stuff. She's not as OCD or organized as I am, shall I say. So she's more of a free spirit in that standpoint. And so she had combined a couple of recipes into one. And so I interviewed her. So I have a basic overview of what she did, but I don't have all the exact minute ingredients and things like that because she doesn't tell them to me. So anyway, so I always have to interview her after she has a good practice run. I interview her to basically take some notes and stuff like that. So
how did the desserts do at the contest?
It finished 8th place.
Really?
So we got a top 10, and we got a banner.
Yes.
You know, when you get to the San Antonio rodeo, it's about the big banner. You know, they got big banners kind of like this that they have, and so it's always. That's always the goal, is to try to get a banner.
Doug, nothing makes me happier when you're talking away from the microphone. I love that the most.
Do you like that? Good. I'll have to try that some more. I was trying to get this stupid
Look
thing
at
off.
that.
Did you get a big banner?
Yeah, it's got a cowboy hat on the top of that trophy too? Or was that's another trophy? That's a separate trophy.
The cowboy hat is part of the Houston rodeo. That's a Houston rodeo. So I just have the banners hanging out.
I like the banners. So. Yeah, very nice.
Oh yeah, so yeah, the banners, and people, when you walk around, people hang their banners up. It's kind of a thing of, you know, prestige to have a banner and stuff. And so I've got mine hanging inside my trailer. So she got a 6th 2 years ago and got 8th in dessert this year. So pretty damn good finish.
What other ancillaries are there?
Believe it or not, we got 3 more. So we've got 1 o'clock. We had steak. So I cooked 4 ribeyes, and last year I got 8th in steak, but and I thought they were even more tender and better this year, but no top 10 for me this year. So
is that an SCA judged event or something outside of that?
No, it's not an SCA. It's just part of the regular judging. So they get the, you know, the Billy Bobs and Billy Janes off the. Actually, that's one of the big things, and we can talk about the scoring system either now or later. But that was actually one of the big changes from this year from last.
Yeah, because there was a fiasco last year, right? Wasn't Bill Purvis caught up in that last year?
Yes, he was.
We'll probably talk about that next week.
Yeah. So we'll you can probably talk a little bit about that next week. But no, actually, yeah, we can talk about that in a bit. So, but yeah, we can talk about it now, or we can talk about it a little later. So in terms of what the fiasco last week or last year.
Well, let's get through the
let's get through
ancillaries
the
here, and then the regular cook. We'll see what we got left.
Yeah. So anyway, so 1 o'clock steak turn in, didn't place in the top 20 in that, and then after that we had beans at 3 o'clock. So, beans are a crapshoot, but the payout in the ancillaries is better than the actual grand champion payout for the most part, because they split the ancillaries, they split 50-50. So all the entry fees, the house takes 50, and then 50% are given out as cash. So that's one of the reasons I enter them, because man, if you get the top 3 in one of those, the checks range from $600 to $1,000 for third place, and $1,600 for second. And some, I think the bean turn in, which has the most, was like $3,200 for first place, which is more than grand champion of the actual. Wow. Yes. for a $5,
I was going to say the
pot of
expense on beans is nothing, so the return on that is huge. I mean, who cares if you don't
It's
get a belt buckle?
huge. Exactly. So you get $3,200.
I'll
So
take it.
you get the banner and $3,200. So that's always nice. And so we didn't place in beans, which isn't surprising. That's really a hard category, and almost everyone enters that. And then the last one was a chef's choice. You pick it. Meat, you can turn in whatever you want. So I did a lobster mac and cheese, and actually, oddly enough, after while the judging was going on, one of our friends came by and she said, "Oh, I just got done judging the Who Pick It Meat ancillary," and she goes, "Did you cook the meatball?" And I said, "No, I cooked the lobster mac and cheese." And she goes, "Oh, yeah, I hate lobster." And I'm like, "Oh man, you gotta be kidding me! Who hates lobster?"
My mom hates lobster.
So, oh god,
You can believe it.
So anyway, so I mean, yeah. Anyway, the last time I did a chef's choice with mac and cheese, I did a brisket mac and cheese and got first place. So she was instrumental in probably crashing our dreams.
She was your death table.
She was our death friend.
The nerve. Wow. All right, so those are the ancillaries. And then we get to the big show, I would assume Saturday. And this is like a normal Texas stuff. So you're doing brisket, you're doing ribs, and you're doing chicken.
Yeah, it's chicken first turn in, ribs, and then brisket. So one of the things, maybe if I can talk about a little bit of the judging now. So last year they had the big fiasco where IBCA, they made one error in a judge or something and it was left out. And so the grand champion, the reserve grand champion, was traded out for the third place finisher on Tuesday following the contest, which was incredibly embarrassing. And so it was an IBCA mistake, and their new scoring system. Part of what they did, because the San Antonio likes to have as many people judge as possible. So just because they're trying to get more people in the gate, that pay to come in,
of course,
and a little bit of the corporate greed there. But so anyway, IBCA changed their scoring system from 2 rounds to 3 rounds last year, just for the San Antonio rodeo.
Wow.
Mistake number 1. They should never have done that. But anyway, and so that probably led to some of the issues and problems of the scoring last year. So of course, Bill got, instead of third place, he got reserve grand champion, and Larry, who's a nice guy, they actually kind of split some of the trophies and things, and split the aprons and stuff. And so it was a real congenial type situation, because Larry could have been a jerk about it and said, "No, it's my money, I'm keeping it." But no, he was real good. And then and Bill Purvis is, he's one of the nicest guys on the tour. And so yeah, it was only fitting that I told him actually beforehand that if he won grand champion, I would be very happy, and it would vindicate, and he would be able to go up in front of his peers and celebrate, which he missed last year.
Yep.
And I'll be damned if he didn't get grand champion. So it was fantastic. So, but anyway, so this year they chose LSBS, the Lone Star Barbecue Society, to do the judging. And you know how many rounds they had this year?
1?
4.
4?
4.
Oh my God.
4. The judging went on for 2 to 2.5 hours. So that's why they had the turn-in times were 10:30 for chicken, 1 for ribs, and 3:30 for brisket.
Holy moly. Does that screw with your normal program to cook?
Let's just say it screwed with me.
Yeah.
Because I'm on a radio show on Saturday mornings, and so I was kicked back, relaxing, calling in at 9:23 for the show, and I was on hold, and I'm like, oh shit, turn-ins at 10:30, and I hadn't done jack with other than trim my chicken and stuff. So
what radio show are you on when you're at a contest?
During COVID, there's a radio show. It's actually a backyard bay pool and barbecue show that's on KSEV radio in Houston, Texas. It's an AM talk show. So anyway, during COVID, he asked us to start coming on and talking about barbecue for a segment that's probably 8 to 10 minutes long. So it's the cooks from the Wild Game crew that I'm associated with for the Houston rodeo. So we go on there and talk about different things. And so at 9:24 he comes on, and so he lets me go first. And I'm like, so I gave a little bit of an overview of where I was at, what I was doing. I said, and I'm sorry, I've got to go because I'm late.
Yeah.
Gotta go late. And so I got my chicken out, started to try to inject. Of course, the plunger, the washer, and the plunger didn't work, and so then I got my backup one, and then that would only pull about half of a tube. So I started injecting with that. So I only injected my chicken half of what I normally do, and then I cranked the temperature to 375 because I knew I was in trouble because I normally do 325 for an hour and 20 minutes, and I thought, okay, so I got my chicken on at 9:38. The turn in is 10. It was 10:30.
Yeah,
and with the 10-minute window, 20-minute total. So I'm like, run, little chicken, run. And so I did it for 20 minutes, and then took it off the pit, added a little more rub, and then put it back on and just let that sucker go until the end. And so it topped out at about 157, and it had been there over a minute. So 165 is the FDA.
Yeah.
160, 14.7 seconds, and 1 minute is like 55 seconds or something like that. So it had been at that temperature. So, and plus with a little carryover, it would take over. So I pulled it off at 10:32.
Wow.
Glazed it in a minute and a half, put it back on for 3 minutes to kind of set the glaze, and pulled it off at 10:38 and turned it in at 10:39.
You're kidding.
I almost
Holy
I'm not kidding.
Moly.
Oh, and then we had a helper guy, and he was like, man, this is going to make a great story when you place in chicken. And he goes, it was so great to see you just work and think instinctively instead of overthinking things like I normally do, and so methodical and stuff. So he actually enjoyed seeing me fight the pressure.
All right, well then here's the question: where do you come in chicken?
5th overall.
Wow, look at you.
5th overall.
That's how it happens.
Yes.
That's how it happens.
It is. It was. Everyone was telling me I was going to place in chicken. I was like, shut up.
Yeah.
And but it actually, I did one extra half after I did that because hell, I didn't have another turn in until 1 o'clock, and the ribs were wrapped and ready to go. So at that time I was kind of kicking up. So I just did another one, and it did taste pretty good. So I might change my cooking style on chicken now, and I might practice it a couple times. But when I'm thinking a little more thinking about it. But it probably changed 2 or 3 things in my chicken cook.
So you said your ribs were already finished at that point. Are you normally holding ribs for a long time?
Well, the 3-2-1 method, as we know, is junky. But so I do 3 hours naked. I do 2.5 in foil. We cook to fall off the bone here, because remember,
how big are the racks?
Here,
like, what's the weight?
4 pounds. 4 pounds.
2.5 hours.
Yeah, so I turn it down. I don't do it so hot. So
you cook them at 90 degrees?
No. It's about 250 or so. So it just depends.
Wow.
So it just depends.
2.5 hours in foil at 250?
Yes.
Doug,
yes.
I'm not telling you how to cook your ribs. You're fucking those up. Holy moly.
I'm not, actually.
Wow.
No, I'm not.
Right, know better than
the thing is, in Texas, they only have a fork and knife. They can't pick up. They don't get their own rib. We only turn in 9 ribs for 4 rounds, might I tell you. 4 rounds, 9 ribs.
They don't pick up their own rib?
No, they don't. They can't touch the rib. They can only touch it with a fork and knife. That's why it has to be fall off the bone.
Like, so do they pick it up out of the box, like with chopsticks?
No, you can't. No.
What?
You can't. You can't.
This is Lone Star rules, or this is how it is regardless of sanctioning body in Texas?
This is regardless of sanctioning body. You can't pick up.
Even what's his name's sanctioning body?
believe
CBA
so.
or
In
whatever?
Champions Barbecue Alliance. Yeah, Fred
Robles, yeah.
Champions. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's the same. So you you can't
bizarre.
pick up a rib. It's fork and knife.
Why?
The CBA was the
What is that all about?
because we only turn in 9 ribs, and we have
What does that have to do with picking up a rib? Turning 2 ribs,
Well,
you can still pick it up.
Well, yeah. So if you had a
They're in a
2-round,
box,
like
right?
IBC, yeah, they're in a box, but
You're
you
passing
can't-
it around.
I mean,
You're
I
like
could,
people are looking at it at a
Yeah.
table, and they don't They don't go and grab a rib.
you can't grab a rib. No, you can't grab a rib. You can only touch it with fork and knife.
Doug,
And-
move
and
from
tell you the
Texas
truth,
immediately. What the hell is going on down there?
Absolutely
Weirdos.
not. We're about to meet, but and the box is so small, you couldn't get 12 ribs even for a 2-round cook. So I barely, because my ribs were pretty good. Mine were 4 and a quarter, but I barely got 9 ribs in the box.
Yeah,
I couldn't fit. I normally like to do more on the bottom and then less on the top, but I couldn't fit 5 ribs in the bottom. I could only fit 4 ribs in the bottom, and then I put 5 ribs on top. So, yeah. But anyway, but they were some of the best ribs I've cooked in a year.
How did they finish?
They got a top 20 finish, so I was 18th in ribs.
All right.
18th in ribs.
Chicken was better of it.
But
you weren't under
you
weren't under life and death pressure with the ribs.
I know. So anyway, but in Texas, our scoring system's so screwed up with with a lot of things. So you only get points for the top 10. So 10 gets 1 point, and number 1 gets 10 points. And so that's how they do the judging here down here. Which so if you don't finish in the top 20, you have no idea if you were 21st or 288th. Unless they post some of the tickets and stuff. So
Chicken
which
was
they may
6th.
have done for like.
You were 6th in chicken.
Chicken was 5th.
5th. All right.
Chicken was 5th.
5th
So
chicken.
I got 6 points.
Your 20 was it 20th in ribs?
18th in ribs.
Right. 18th in ribs. All right. What about brisket?
Brisket, I thought it was good but not great, and I think that the judges agreed. So I actually cooked a couple of Wagyus. Normally down here, I've gotten a 2nd and a 4th in brisket, the San Antonio Rodeo before, but
were they
those were
the butcher shop
primes.
briskets or no?
They sure were.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sure were. They were expensive little piggies or little
Australians
little
are
steers,
expensive
but,
these days.
They are, but I had never ordered from them before, and I did say Barbecue Central and got my 10% discount. Thank you.
We
very
love
much.
saving money.
Yes, and that's one of the things with the pork ribs. I had never heard of Prairie Fresh prime ribs.
Yeah.
And so I ordered those as well. So that's why they were, and they hand pick it everything. And so I told them I wanted.
Even says on the cooler, hand picked just for road cookers.
It had my name on it
Yes,
and everything
I
on the
know.
meat and
Feel
everything.
like $1 million, don't you?
I thought I took a little picture of that. I did. And I'm going to order
King
some
in
more
the castle,
for
king
the
in the
Houston
castle.
Rodeo.
Yeah.
Exactly. I did feel a little special on that. So I'm going to order more for the Houston Rodeo as well. So, but what I did is I actually did, everything's an experiment with me. So I did the 2 briskets, and I did 1 injected and 1 not injected. And just to kind of see, I think the Wagyu has a buttery taste to it, and I wanted to kind of see if I could get the buttery taste. So it had a little bit of that. The injected one just had a little offsetting flavor to me.
Oh,
I probably had 10 people in my camp at that time. Some of the buzzards that had come to chew on some food. So and so the vote was like 6-4, 1 over 2. And I did actually go with 1 because 2 had that little offsetting flavor to me. But and then I turned that in. So but it did not place. It did not get a top 20. So
so you don't know where it finished?
No, it could have finished 21st or 288. That's one of the things.
Chicken Fried Barbecue in the instant chat says Doug was 21st in brisket. Would he know?
Yeah. No, he's just saying that. That's awful kind of him. That's
joking.
awful kind of him. Yeah, exactly.
All
Yeah,
right.
everyone is 21st. You know, if you don't know, you're
That's
old.
right.
Everyone says
Yeah,
they're 21st.
just right off.
Right?
Must
So
have just
there's
finished out of money.
There's no proving it.
Yeah.
There's no proving it. So
All right,
they call, that the last judging is 20 trays. So they have 20 bites. So that's why they call the final table.
When it's all said and done, where does Row Cookers finish? Out of how many teams? You said it was
288, I believe.
288. Where do you finish?
14th. We got 14th overall.
Overall, wow. Look at you.
Yeah. Not
Not
bad.
21st.
Not bad. Not 21st. I was a hard 14. So yes, I definitely was in the top 20. So that was good. So, and in fact, if I was like, I was rooting for Purvis, because he got I think Purvis got a third in brisket, and he had gotten a fifth in ribs. So he was up there in points. So that was like 6 and 8. So that was 14 points. And so a first place is 10 points. And so if I would have gotten a call first or second in brisket again, I would have won.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a lot of people, there was probably 10 of us that were in that spot. And, of the 30 places, first, second, and chicken ribs and brisket, of the 30 places, there were 28 teams called. So only Purvis and one other cook got multiple calls out of the multiple top 10s. So that just shows you that the level of competition was pretty unbelievable.
What was the best finish at San Antonio? You said you've been going there 14 years. What's your best overall finish? My
best overall finish is a 4th place. I got a second place brisket and a 16th place chicken that year. That's how I got kicked off the team.
Oh yes.
When I cooked.
Now we're bringing you back full circle. Best finish ever.
Yeah, and
new team.
New team, yeah, exactly. And it's actually interesting. Our buddy Chuck is going to come out with an article that should be very interesting soon.
Oh yeah, is he going to also promote smoked burgers on restaurant menus at the end of that article?
Oh, maybe so. I'm for smoked burgers, man.
So's Chud's Barbecue. He thought it was great. Thinks it's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm for them, man. If there's a good burger, my wife is a burger fiend. So if there's a good burger, she'll want to order a burger at a barbecue joint.
All right. Well, Doug has taken, and his wife, Row Cookers, let's say it this way, 14th overall at San Antonio. He was 21st in brisket, and no one can say otherwise. He was 18th in ribs and 5th in chicken, earning him a 14th overall, plus very well in the ancillaries to boot there on Friday. So anything else, Doug, you'd like to toss in here before I let you go tonight?
Well, one of the things about the San Antonio rodeo, it's always been it had been a smaller cook, more of a cooker's cook, and not as many people coming out, and it was just a large cook-off. And now San Antonio is going the way of Houston. So the last 2 years, they kind of held, I call it the hostage fee, which people don't like on the barbecue committee, but they tell you, hey, you can reserve your spot for next year because we may sell out, and so you have to pay. You know how much money I pay? I added up all my expenses for this contest. Guess how much money I spent on this one particular
right, let
contest.
me guess. Let's see, it was 3 days, 5 ancillaries, brisket there. My math is right. Doug, you spent $748 million on the competition this weekend. Right or wrong?
Few extra zeros on that, but I did spend $2,800.
Wow.
$2,800 for a one cook-off is
what
a
did you
lot
win
of
back?
moolah, I think.
What did you win back?
I got I think I'm going to get $600. They don't give you the checks there; they mail them to you, if you can believe.
And you pay the postage, so you're a net expense of $2,200 after winnings, or a net expense.
Yeah, after getting 14th overall and getting 4 top 20 calls. So yeah, because in the ancillaries they only pay for 1 through 10. So like in the main categories, 10th place gets $100. 9th, 200, and so that's how they go. Yes,
$100.
Yes.
Well, this is where the argument comes up then of saying, well, you're doing it because you like it. This is your hobby.
True.
If you were into
True.
cars, you'd be spending money on radiators and the Holley carburetors and wheels, but you're doing it on brisket. And then the other side, of course, is, well, this is how you lose competition barbecue teams because you're spending $2,800 to do an event. You do fairly well overall and in some of the ancillaries, and you're scraping back $600 out of $2,800. That's a continually red affair, which if you're just not flush with cash, that makes people pretty disenchanted pretty quick.
Or if you don't have a sponsor. So this year they didn't even open up the contest to cooks. They didn't have an open registration because they had so many people that paid the fee like I did. And then what they did is they just locked it down and opened up a corporate sponsorship for $2,500. So a lot of corporations came in and bought 4, 6, 8, 8 of them. And then they had a big party. And then I think last year we had over 300 cookers that cooked in it. So, they're going to decrease the number of cookers, but they're hoping those big corporate events, that put on events and have, bands and things like that will be like Houston Rodeo, where like in Houston Rodeo, our tent has an occupancy of 999 people.
Wow.
By the fire marshal, that's our occupancy. So, and it's packed every night. I'm sure. So,
it's a corporate event.
But anyway, so that's, they're trying to get more people in the gate and raise more money for the kids and stuff. So, but anyway, yeah, it's, it's going to be, in Houston, I think the tent that we cook at, they spend over $200,000.
Wow. Yeah, that's big
on the event.
Yeah,
big money. They have a buffet every night, Papa, I want to say Big Papa's, but Papa's Barbecue, which is one of the more well-known barbecue places down there, food places. They do the buffet every night, and they serve 2 meals. They serve, one, and then late at night they've served, some brisket sandwiches.
Doug Scheiding is the pitmaster of Row Cookers, 14th overall at this past weekend San Antonio BBQ Cook-Off. Also did very well in the ancillaries on Friday, breaking it all down for us here. Your longest-running embedded correspondent from Texas, of course, rowcookers.com, his website. Follow him on Instagram, as the tens of thousands of you are currently doing. It's Doug Scheiding, and Doug will see you at the end of the month for your regularly scheduled embedded correspondence site.
I appreciate it, and just to let you know, my trademark is official. Suzanne let me know today that it finally came in and was approved.
Now, the question is, are you ever actually going to see the paper? Because she held that hostage on me for 3 or 4 weeks because she wanted to give it to me in person. I was like, just send me the goddamn thing already.
She's not giving it to me in person. She better mail that sucker.
Yeah, FedEx that. Stay on her for that to make sure you get it so we can show it off here during the embedded correspondence. I mean, Doug, congratulations again, and we'll see you at the end of the month.
Thank you.
There's Doug right there. He carried the hour. I had a whole bunch of stuff in the open, but a lot of good breakdown there, so we certainly appreciate that. You will now have to suffer through 2 commercials because I didn't break through that, but that's all right. That's why we do it. Some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today are Green Mountain Grills. Now, what did I do with this? I was messing around with nonsense earlier today. So here's what I want to tell you about Green Mountain Grills. It's a brand that has been producing high-quality grills for over a decade. They offer a number of features that make them stand out from the competition, especially when compared to some of the other pellet cookers out there on the market. First, Green Mountain Grills are more portable and easier to transport. Their compact design, lightweight construction make them ideal for camping, tailgating, and other outdoor activities where portability is a must. Second, Green Mountain Grills are more affordable than some of the other cookers out there on the market, making them an excellent option for those who are on a budget. They offer high-quality grilling capabilities at a fraction of the cost of the premium brands without sacrificing performance. Third, of course, Green Mountain Grills' use of Wi-Fi connectivity to allow the users to control and monitor the cooking process from their smartphone or tablet. This feature provides an unprecedented level of convenience and also allows the user to cook food to perfection without having to physically be present at the grill. Fourth, Green Mountain grills are built to last. They made high-quality materials, and the company offers 3-year warranties on their grills. This gives customers peace of mind knowing that their investment is also protected. And finally, Green Mountain Grills offers excellent temperature control with a range from 150 to 500 degrees Fahrenheit, higher if you use the pizza oven insert. This allows the user to cook a variety of different foods, from low and slow barbecued meats to the high-heat seared steaks, all on the same unit. In conclusion, Green Mountain Grills are a better choice than most of the other pellet cookers out there on the market for many reasons. For their portability, affordability, Wi-Fi connectivity, durability, and excellent temperature control, Green Mountain Grills offer a superior grilling experience at a price that can't be beat. GreenMountainGrills.com. That's GreenMountainGrills.com. Find a dealer near you and then take advantage. We're back to wrap the show after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Let's get back to a guy who has more experience giving you his opinion than he actually has cooking. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
We thank Doug Scheiding for joining us for an extended segment here in the second hour. This portion brought to you by Big Papa Smokers, the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue. A curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies, getting you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. 13 perfectly balanced flavors of rubs and seasonings, owner of Granny's Barbecue Sauce, purveyors of some of the best pellet cookers out on the market as well, like the Mac 2-Star General Pellet Cooker. If you have questions or you don't know what to order, call them 877-828-0727 or shop their website at bigpapasmokers.com. One of the things that I wanted to show everybody here, a guy whose house I bought, his name is Casey Wendell, drew me this picture. If you follow him on Instagram, I laid down a comment in a previous drawing, and I said, Casey, you should draw a guy cooking smash burgers on his flat top, and he did. And then he put the Barbecue Central show on it, and there's some houses in the background. So little did I know that Casey was such a brilliant artist. You can follow him on Instagram over at Casey Wendell. And maybe if you're into this kind of art stuff because it's cool and it has your show name on it, and that may or may not be me, but that guy has way more hair than I do. He'll give you whatever you want. You just drop your idea down there in the comments, and lo and behold, you might have a picture headed your way. Now, I did get in contact with him and said, hey, Casey, is this something you want to hold on to, or can I have it? 48 hours later, was in my mailbox, all nicely protected, so certainly appreciate that. And I certainly appreciate the deal we were put together where I bought his house, except for the fact that what? Cats are pissing in the house. Yes, that's right. But we have towels in place. We might look for mixer tops, as Ron was talking about in the first hour. So who knows what's going to be happening at that point, but I'm very excited to talk about all of it. Now, there's some other things that I wanted to get to here in the open segment. So there's probably going to be an open segment next week, if I'm not mistaken. We have Sam, the cooking guy, coming in next week in the second hour. We have Malcolm Reed leading off the first hour. If you can believe it, we're already doing two segments, or the second segment of the year with Malcolm and Sam alike. There's also another guest that I am not remembering right off the top of my head for next week. So let me pull up the calendar here and see who we got. Of course, Ben Biebenroth from Boom's Pizza right here in Cleveland. Just opened about a week ago, and we'll see how they're doing and talk about his pizza philosophy and all that fun stuff. So let's go ahead and make tracks to get out of here all the way back in the first. All right. We can actually just skip through all of this stuff real quick. No, don't want any of that. Nope. Here we go. All the way back in the first hour, it was Wes Wright, cookoutnews.com. And then in the second hour was Doug Scheiding, rowcookers.com. We had an open segment after Wes. You can catch that. Podcasts are coming starting tomorrow. Big show planned for you next week. As I just told you, September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.